All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the PowerPoint presentations for Murox ASP.NET 4.6 with C# 2015 6th edition. We are in the last third of Chapter 21 of 25. We've already gone over in this chapter how to use email in ASP.NET and how to create custom ASP.NET error pages. The last third of the chapter, which is the last 4 to 6 pages, discuss how to handle what's called the back button problem in ASP.NET. And what the author mentions here, just take it from the top here. Oh, no, I don't want that. That's what I want. If the user clicks the back button in the browser window to return to a previous ASP.NET form, then post the form, the application session state may become out of sync with that form. In some cases, this can result in a problem called the back button problem. So this example here is meant to illustrate the back button problem in a shopping cart app. So here the contents of the shopping cart are stored in a session state and they're displayed on the page. So you see we've got two products that have been added to the shopping cart, the deranged cat and the flying bat. So now when we display our shopping cart, it looks like this. Then the user decides to remove the deranged cat, all right, and that changes the session state. At that point, the user changes his or her mind and clicks the back button. When they do, so they decided they do want to purchase the deranged cat, so they click the back button, and they think that'll undo the delete, and on the screen at least it appears as if it does, as the browser retrieves the previous page from its local cache. But that depends on how the application was coded. In the worst case, the back button problem may cause the app to crash. In the best case, it won't cause a problem at all. So a similar problem occurs when the user clicks on the refresh button for a page that's already been submitted. Although most browsers will warn a user about resubmitting a page, this can cause problems if the user ignores the warning. Maybe you've seen this already, where you've got an order in a shopping cart and you click the submit button. So it probably has been submitted, but maybe the server is slow, maybe your client is slow, and it just sits there. So you click the submit button again. In general, there's 3 ways that you handle the back button problem. All right. The first way is to try to prevent pages from being saved in the browser's cache by sending page cache settings with the HTTP response. That way, when the user clicks the back button, the old page can't be retrieved, and a new request for the page is sent to the server. There are several methods in ASP.NET for doing that. However, these techniques don't work if the user's browser ignores the page cache settings that are sent in response. So because of this, this isn't recommended, and that's the only thing that they say about it. All right, right here, this first one. The second one is what's known as the PRG, or post redirect get pattern. And that's used to prevent pages that are posted to the server from being saved in the browser's cache. In this pattern, the user is taken back to the order page when they click the back button. Then when they navigate to the cart page, they'll see the correct cart information. It's fairly easy to use, and it has only minor drawbacks, and it also fixes the problem we had with the refresh option. The third way of doing this is to code your web form so that it detects when the user attempts to post a page that isn't current. To do that, the form can use timestamps or random numbers to track the way that the pages are set up. So here's the normal post-back pattern for a page. This is shown on page 780 and 781. So as mentioned there, the browser sends a post request for a page. The server handles the request, and if everything is okay, sends a 200 HTTP response code back, and the HTML for the page, which is stored in the browser's cache. So this figure on 780 and 781 is designed to show how the PRG pattern is used to solve the back button problem. So we just summarized the normal post-back pattern for a page. The code that's shown here shows the normal post-back pattern in the cart page. So when the user clicks the remove button, this is the code that'll fire. The selected item will be removed from the cart object in session state, and the HTML for displaying the updated cart page will be sent back to the browser. The problem is that sending this page as a response to a post request, the page is added to the browser's cache. Then if the user clicks the back button or the refresh button to reload or resubmit, there can be serious consequences. So the PRG pattern solves this by splitting the posting of the data into two separate round trips. All right, more specifically, when the PRG pattern receives a post, it handles it and returns a 302, letting the user know or telling the browser to redirect to the URL that's included in the response. Then, since no HTML is returned with the response, there's nothing for the browser to cache. This next example that's shown right here shows the PRG pattern in action, so to speak. When the user here clicks the remove item button, the selected item is removed from the cart object in session state like the first example, but the next line of code tells the browser to redirect to the same page. Because of that, the updated data is stored in the browser cache after the redirection. That way, if the user does click the back button or the refresh button, the browser will retrieve the updated data from the cache, and the page won't be out of sync with the server data. Pages 782 and 783 show the use of timestamps. Again, that's another way to avoid the back button problem. It also avoids the refresh problem. In the figure that you see right here that's reproduced on the next several slides, all right, you see the code for a web page that uses timestamps to determine whether the page is current. The basic technique, as mentioned on 782, is to record the timestamp in two places when a page is posted, in view state and in session state. That way, when the view state stamp is sent to the browser and cached along with the rest of the information on the page, the timestamp will be saved on the server. For this all to work, the page must be posted back to the server. So again, when you use timestamps to solve this back button problem, two copies of the timestamp for the page are saved. One in view state, one in session state. We check the is expired, and you see that right here. It tests the view state and the session state timestamps to make sure they're the same. If they are not the same, the user has posted a page that has been retrieved from the browser's cache. This, again, fixes the refresh button option. Some developers prefer to work with random numbers rather than timestamps, but it's basically done the same way regardless. All right, so this was a very short chapter. In the chapter, we discussed 3 different topics. We discussed how to send email messages from web applications. This will not be discussed a lick in class. And in fact, since I believe here at Rankin we do our own and house our own email servers, I believe that in order to be able to work with this, we would have to have SMTP and or POP permission, which I don't think could even get from their IT department. After email messages, we discussed custom error pages for ASP.NET applications or HTTP errors that could occur when the app is running. Finally, we ended up by talking about the back button problem and the associated refresh button problems and how to keep those from occurring in applications. So we described the use of mail message, mail address, SMTP client attachment, alternate view objects as they relate to sending email messages from a web app. We described the use of third-party SMTP servers. Papercut was the one they used in the example. We described the 3 different ways to catch exceptions that are thrown by ASP.NET applications. We described how you can use the web.config file for handling specific types of HTTP errors. We described and looked very, very simplistically at the back button and the back button problem and described 3 ways of handling that. That's it for Chapter 21. When I return in just a couple minutes, we will go over Chapter 22, a short chapter. Notice there are only 16 slides, so ideally we will do this in just 1 slide presentation, and it is on how to deploy ASP.NET, deploy meaning the keyword, web applications. So I'll be back with that discussion in just a couple moments.